All right. Good evening, everyone. And I want to welcome you to this second class of this JELA Leadership Clinic, the series 2, that is brought to us by the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Jesus Embassy, Los Angeles. If you are joining us from California, within California, outside of California, in the US, or other parts of the world, you are welcome. We're always very excited to welcome you to the class. And today, we're going to be focusing on interpersonal communication. Like I said earlier, before we went live, please type your name in the chat, your first and last name, so that we can record attendance. And if you have more than one person on your Zoom with you, please type the names of all those that are present, so we know those are present in the class. So you are welcome. My name is Bola G. Bakari, and co-facilitating with me is Sheyi Layowoyi, who is going to be handling the group discussion later. So let us pray. Our Father, we just want to say thank you. We bless and exalt your holy name. Thank you for today in our lives as individuals, as families, in all that we have done today. Thank you for the last class we had. And thank you for the opportunity for this second class. As we go into this class, we pray that you take absolute control. Pray for your son that is going to be leading us in the class, that you speak through him. And at the end, let us have cause to give you praise for what you have learned. In Jesus' name, amen. Let me just, I know you know him very well, but permit me to introduce him to you again tonight. Perhaps, peradventure, you may not know some of the things I'm going to say about him. Our speaker tonight, our instructor tonight, is the senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Jesus Embassy, Los Angeles, California. He is also the regional pastor for the RCC Pacific USA. And in addition, he is the president of Leadership Skills Incorporation USA and Leader Skills Nigeria Limited, as well as a certified and accredited trainer of trainers. He's a motivational speaker. He's an author, an anointed preacher, and a child of God with a heart of humility and compassion in his service. Professionally, he practiced civil structural engineering successfully for 2 decades, and thereafter became a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers before he changed his career to management and leadership development. He likes to be called the Son of God. So join me to welcome this evening, Pastor Dr. Niron Fafowora. Shall we clap for him as he comes on? Comes up.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I feel highly honored to be part of this meeting tonight. Unfortunately, you permit me to alter slightly the topic we're supposed to have, interpersonal communication. And I discovered that interpersonal communication with this sometimes in real life a few years back. So I thought that maybe because many of us are now expected to be presenting orally, through the teachings we do, I said, okay, let me slightly alter with your permission. So today I'll be looking at communicating in oral presentations and a few words to be said on management of meetings. I hope you're able to flow with me. Thank you for your indulgence. So oral presentations are appropriate for the following situations: inspiring and motivating others. We want to motivate a group of people. Demonstration of products or for training purposes, and introduction of a persuasive written message. That's an area in which God has helped me to develop seriously. Then as a follow-up to a persuasive written message, oral appreciation is very good. To deliver bad news to a large audience, oral presentation is really very good. I'm sure that you are aware that most politicians, they have persuasive skills when it comes to discussing with people, but theirs are usually loaded with lies. You will see in this discussion today that if you continue to lie when you are presenting, you may not sound as persuasive as possible, particularly if you are in a professional gathering. Now, the chapter or the training I'm using with this textbook, this textbook focuses on a few things. Number one, planning and developing the presentation, designing visual aids, and delivery in oral presentations. So where do you start from? Planning and developing the presentation. When you want to present, please pay attention on simplicity, interest, and stories. Stories may be testimonies if it's a religious organization. It may also be personal experiences. It could be what you have read in a book that is very interesting. And vividness. Vividness is talking about reality of what you are trying to present. But the idea is for you to engage your audience. So what are we going to do? You find a way of selecting a few appropriate structures. How do I mean by appropriate structures? Present all information before new. That is saying that you go from the known to the unknown. Don't just load new materials on your listeners. Take them from what you think they have known to anything you want to present to them. And what you think they have known will include your researching the kind of people that you are going to, communicate with orally. Once you have done that, then you go ahead and organize information chronologically. So I've seen speakers, presenters of oral materials jumping from point to point all over the place. That would not be appropriate for effective oral presentation. So you must organize your information in order. And as you organize it, you will make sure that you make reference to where you're coming from. For example, some of you have seen me teach and said, what did I say point number one is? What did I say point number two is? What did I say point number three is an attempt to lead us chronologically. Then always use what we call a geographic or spatial pattern. A geographic and spatial pattern is talking about you organizing your delivery in various sections. When you draw up your program of oral presentation, you can use segmentation. We also call it segmentation. So you can use a general to particular pattern. You can use a problem solution pattern. You can also use a cause and effect pattern. You can use a comparison and contrast pattern. For example, if you are talking about life in Los Angeles, you can keep on talking about life in Los Angeles, and if you look a bit unfamiliar with people who have not been to Los Angeles before. But if you say, for those of you who have lived in Lagos before, or have lived in Accra before, the way traffic is in Accra or Lagos is not the way in Los Angeles. For example, in Accra or Lagos, we may not have more than 4 lanes, but in Los Angeles, oh my God, you can have what, 8 lanes moving in the same direction. That's what we're talking about, the comparison and contrast style of communication. Now, to plan and develop your presentation, the beginning or introduction to provide an attention-getting statement is very important. You will see that this oral presentation is similar to the one we did last semester about also presentation. You have to do a number of things. You have to show the product or the object. That is, if you are, presenting a product, or if you are discussing an object, for example. I had a challenge a few years back. One of my instructors just went on the field and cut a blade of grass. I said, speak for 3 minutes on this blade of grass. Impromptu speech. Oh my God, what could I say? But you see, because you have the objects that people can see visually, you can start by asking, what is the color? What is the color of this object? Of course, people will say green. What can you identify green with? Some will say dollar, some will say a number of things, some will say uniform, and that kind of thing. But you now confirm what you are holding and tell them the source of your object. In so doing, you have more or less excited their curiosity and interest in what you're trying to present. Now, in your oral presentation, you must highlight the benefits of what you are trying to present to them. Because if you don't tell them the benefits of what you are trying to present to them, you may not engage them appropriately. You can also include asking questions to get people interested, to get people curious. For some of us who are computer savvy, you might use relevant video or sound clip. I will discuss about that before the end of this training. Then you can also tell a relevant story or personal anecdote. How about starting a discussion like this? Maybe you want to make a presentation on your phone, your iPhone. You can start by saying, I remember the day this iPhone got me into trouble. Oh, really? Because people have iPhones and they're interested in finding out how it got you into trouble. And many of you could have made the kind of mistake that I've made in the past that people usually make. I was trying to text a message to a particular number and a particular name. Olubumi. There are two Olubumis. The moment I saw the first Olubumi, I tested my message and I sent it. Then the message came back immediately from the person, from the receiver. I said, I don't think this message is meant for me. I now read it. Oh my God. So you can start, an interesting presentation from that perspective of telling a story or stating a striking fact or statistics. For example, if you are discussing how to present something on road accident, you can start by saying, do you know that millions of people die on road accidents more than all diseases, including cancer, put together? Really? We'll be interested. I mean, you excite their interest by so doing, Now, you can also start by delivering a relevant quotation or by delivering, if it's a Christian gathering, you can start by delivering a popular passage. Can you imagine someone getting to the stage and say, okay, this is Pastor Jennifer Fora, it's going to be a presentation on life generally. And the guys get on stage and say, for God so loved the world. You see that people, because it's a Christian community, they will join you to complete that. So by so doing, you have engaged them, which is very important, in presentation. Now, how do you plan and develop a presentation? Number one, you have to have the middle. The middle have to deal with forecasting of transitions. I mean, That has to continue, that has to contain the meat of your presentation. And then the end, summary conclusions for informative messages, sales conclusion for persuasive messages. What are we saying here? We are saying that at the end of your oral presentation, you must make, what do I call it now? How do I call it? You must ask for an action to be initiated. So for Christian gathering, the kind of action we initiate, we say, if you are here and you want to give your life to Christ, why don't you put up your hand, why don't you close your eye, why don't you talk to the Lord, that kind of thing. But if you are making a presentation on something else, that's like marketing, you will say, I won't introduce this fantastic item to you, the iPhone, that's capable of sending images, capable of recording events, etc. Why don't you try and make your booking or try and make sure that you get one? That's kind of thing we're talking about. Now, for oral presentation, there are situations where you have to design visual aids. Visual aids are excellent, very excellent. Because people do say that a picture is worth 1,000 words or stories, you know. So there are three major benefits of using visual aids in your oral presentation. Information is more easily understood than with the use of words alone. But you see, there's a secret behind the use of audiovisuals. Even though we know that audiovisuals helps make the information conveyed more memorable, people tend to remember pictures they have seen. It registered on their mind more than the words spoken into their ears. And the use of visuals convinces them that you are professional. It convinces them that you are prepared. It convinces them that you have taken your oral presentation seriously. And that's very, very important. Now, moving on, talking about the design of visual aids, the most common presentation we always use these days are the PowerPoint. There are other presentations that are much more sophisticated than this, but the one I'm talking about today is the PowerPoint. Many people do not know how to use PowerPoint. The word points is what we're talking about. That is, you present your presentation in points. A lot of people do write a whole essay on their PowerPoint slides. No. So people read, some other people read their story on PowerPoint. No. PowerPoint is supposed to prompt you point by point what you're talking about. And then to make your PowerPoint easy, don't overload it with visuals, with distracting visuals, so to say, distracting objects. You know, look at the one I'm using now, for example. All I want to do is for you to be able to read what we are written there. So we've selected a blue color on white background to make sure that we get to. I've made mistakes before in the past because I want my slides to look interesting. I want my slides to be transition slides and everything. And I put the contents in a color that blends more or less with the background, which makes it very difficult to read for people. So the text you are using should be limited to informative phrases. Bullet list, that's all. That's what we call PowerPoint. So avoid presenting text in sentences or paragraph form of storytelling, etc. Each slide should contain no more than 5 to 6 bullet points. So we call it 5x6 presentation. 5x6 presentation. 5 to 6 bullet points. And then please avoid clip art. Avoid clip art. Because the reason why we say avoid clip art is because clip art tend to distract your listeners because it continues to give them a different information. Clip arts are designed to give a particular information. So it may be a bit difficult for you to marry important clip art what you are discussing. And again, we do not want to distract our audience. Now, when you want to organize a PowerPoint presentation, again, it's similar to what we have taught on effective speaking. There has to be introduction, there has to be the body of your presentation, and there has to be the conclusion. You know, the introduction we talk about opening title slide. If we give summary of overview of the slide you are going to run through, and then it talks about the body of your presentation. Is in this stage that you put your graphs, your tables, your diagrams, and your drawings. And then you must have a concluding slide. And then a slide that shows the end, so to say. Now, moving on. Designing visual aids, use of PowerPoint, we do encourage that you are familiar, you have experience in how to operate your slides when using PowerPoint. That is, you must be an expert in going forward or going backward to previous slides. And you must have practiced all the time. So what we do not show your slide displayed when you're ready for it. So what we always tell people to do is that if you master the PowerPoint properly, they are the ones we call transition slides. Transition slides are shown only to the presenter, but not shown to the audience. So transition slides let the presenter know what is coming next without the audience knowing. So that would be easy for him to coordinate his points. Let's go to vocal delivery when it comes to oral presentation. The elements that are important are the ones that are listed on this PowerPoint: the volume, rate of delivery, the pitch, the vocal variety, the articulation, the pauses, and the fluency. Let me talk briefly on each of these ones. When we talk about the volume, we're talking about the way you sound. You know, people, when they hold microphone, some people blow it, psh, psh. Some people shout, hello, hello, hello. And sometimes if the microphone is loud already, that just people, more or less. So what do? When you hold the microphone, let's say this is a microphone, before you begin to speak, check if it is on. First, most people who do oral presentation do not do that. They just grab the microphone, they assume that it's on, and they begin to speak. And then when they discover that it's not on, then they begin to look for how to switch to on. If you don't know how to switch on the microphone, you ask the person over the microphone to, is it on? And if you say yes. So when you hold the microphone like this, you just use your finger to tap the end of the microphone. You will hear, you'll be able to know whether that thing is on or not on. Then you have an idea of the level of decibel, the kind of noise, the level of noise that can make. And that will help you to speak the way you should speak. Now, rate of delivery. Many times when you speak and record yourself, it's good for you to record yourself and go back and replay what you have presented. You will see that either you will be speaking too fast or you've been speaking too slowly. So there's a level of modulation by which oral presentation should be done. And it also comes to practice. You're able to marshal your points when you are in control of how you are, of where you are in control of the speed of your speech. When you are speaking so fast, you're probably going to make mistakes and forget a few things. If you are speaking too slowly, you can also forget what you're supposed to do. So that's that. When we're talking about pitch in a voice, high pitch, low pitch. Hello, everybody. High pitch. Hello, everybody. Low pitch. So there is a way by which you have to articulate your presentation, your oral presentation in a way that will just glide and just flow like that. It's also similar to vocal variety. And articulation is talking about how well articulated, how well organized. Let's even assume that your thoughts are organized mentally. Thoughts organized mentally does not automatically translate to delivery that's articulated when articulated. And assignment of, I always tell people, I say, look, if you are given an assignment to go and take an offer, for example, if you're not prepared, people will know. If you're supposed to close a meeting, if you're not prepared, people will know. So when you want to do oral presentation or present any form, please be prepared. Please rehearse. Please make sure that you are well connected with the listeners. How do we use pauses in oral presentation? You should not just deliver what we call baba diarrhea. Thank you, everybody. No. You can use pauses, number one, to gather your thoughts, and number two, to carry along your audience. You can use pauses. Okay, let me give an example of pause now. I'm trying to remember what happened to me when I went to Israel in 1990. She left in 1979. Did you see the pause? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to share my experience with you when I went to Israel in 1990. Is it 1990? Let me think. Yeah, 1990. That's an example of because that shows that you are real. That shows that that shows that you have not delivered what you have memorized. That kind of what we're talking about. Also, fluency is talking about the use of appropriate language. Some people get the microphone and they say, well, this is who I am, and let me tell you as it is. That's not professional at all. You just have to be fluent. You have to make sure that you can make mistakes when you are speaking. If you identify you made a mistake, correct it immediately by yourself. You will laugh at yourself, and then people will laugh at you, but they forgive you for the mistake you have made. Now, pray God. I hope you guys are still with me. Hello?
Yes, we are with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I needed to check. Now, let's go to delivery in oral presentation. Body movement that enhances a presentation. When we are talking about body movement, we are talking about communication now that is not verbal, but it's body language focused. When you are speaking on oral presentation, establish and maintain direct eye contact with the audience. How do we do that? We talk about scanning the face of the audience. When you scan the face of the audience, you can just, for a few seconds, concentrate on somebody, that's listening to you. When you concentrate on somebody and you just say, sir, for example, when you say sir, to a particular person. You are talking to all of them. You are talking to all of them. Then use good body posture. Stand up straight. Don't stand as if your legs are weak. Any of those things. And then you can make some motion here and there to be able to get people engaged visually, but not to dash up and down, up and down, up and down. But you will lose a few of those people. Then use natural gestures to animate the presentation. What do I mean by that natural gestures? Let me think. This is the sign of thinking. Or let me see, or let me try and remember. Let me try and remember. It's like your sides, your posture is actually thinking, it's showing that you are trying to remember something. But all these things happen with practice and practice and practice. Your facial expressions should reflect and reinforce the meaning of your words. For example, let's say you want to let nobody make noise here. Let nobody make noise here. Let nobody make noise here. You see the way my fingers are. Let nobody make noise here. That's a kind of positive, reinforcement of the message you are trying to get across. So people can hear, people who hear you faintly, and when they know that you are objecting to something. And then that will accentuate their hearing what you got to say. Now, let's talk about dress and appearance. Clothing, jewelry, hairstyle, and general appearance creates immediate impression of who you are. There are some jewelries that you can be adorned with that make noise with the microphone, bangles in particular, if you're a woman. There are some aspects, excuse me. There are some aspects of presentation that affect your credibility. They say, oh, maybe you are going for an official presentation to a board. You want to go and sell yourself. Go and sell your products. Go out to convince them about what you need to do or what they should do. Your appearance must be consistent with the nature of your presentation. Unless you're a dramatist, you can't wear tattered jeans to a boardroom. You're supposed to present something that's professional. That's very important. And then you cannot be invited to make presentations for a group of teenagers. And then you overdress. They don't be able to identify with you. I still remember the story of a gentleman who left the church who said, Pastor, I like this church. I like everything about this church. In fact, when he was going to get married, he came back to Ross. My wife, to have a baby, he came back to Ross. But he said he went to a church and the way the pastor dressed, he communicated friendship with him. That's why he relocated to that church. But when he needs anything spiritual that's important, he comes back to us. And that's an example of how your dressing, your appearance, when you're going to do oral presentation, impacts people. Some people may want to be like you. And so those want to be like you. They listen to you attentively. Those who don't want to be like you, you lose them. And once you lost them, To get them back will not be very easy. Now, let's move on. When you prepare for your presentation, you have to research your material. You have to organize, gather them together and organize your material. And you have to organize your material from the level of unknown, from the level of known to the unknown. And it requires, again, preparation, experience, and there are certain instances when I've made presentations, I've organized my materials, like I've gone back to say, oh no, don't say this at this point, take it back. Particularly when I'm preparing messages. After I prepare my messages and I'm preparing, I'm praying over it, I'm looking at it. I've seen situations where I pull out some points and bring it to be delivered earlier. I've seen when I pull up some points to be delivered towards the end. So it requires practice. It requires you see, oral presentation for a human being is like two people dancing together. It's like you and your presentation. It's like you are a couple that are dancing together. Your presentation will be part of you and will be part of that presentation. You know, there has to be what I call agreeable intimacy between you and your materials you are trying to present. Now, how do we run away from certain things in presentation? I'm going to be structured to make a few mistakes. I'm coming back. Reducing presentation anxiety. The only way by which you can reduce anxiety is prepare. And then there are so many things you do to make sure that you reduce anxiety. You have to watch your rate of breathing. You have to calm yourself down. You have to convince yourself that I am good at this. I can do it. I've been doing it before. And then you have to also know that the people that you are going to present to, they are like you. So don't lie to them, because there are people in that audience who are much more knowledgeable than you, the material you are presenting. Then don't use false statistics. For these days, with the phone, people can quickly check. People can quickly check the materials you are using and the information you are trying to give to them, and depend on the question, and depend on a query for that. One of the most difficult things to do is to handle question and answer sessions in oral presentation. So when questions come, they can easily categorize them into 3 areas: the known, the knowable, and the notable. Let me start from the notable. There's only questions that people usually ask regularly at any oral presentation. And then there are certain questions that from your experience, you can have an answer. In questions, there are some situations that, there are some questions that you do not know. Don't lie to them and don't make a guess. Let them know that, oh, I didn't think about that part of the question in this presentation, but I will make a research. I will research and pass my observation to the organizers of this event. That's what it will be clear for you. But for you to pretend to know answer to questions that you don't know is like committing suicide. And when the questions come, treat each objection seriously and try to think of a way to deal with it. Somebody may get and say, oh, thank you so much for the presentation. But unfortunately, I have to disagree with you. No quarrel. No quarrel. Don't be offended. Don't feel insulted. Don't feel insulted. Oh, oh, yes, I understand. Oh, of course, sir. I know you are entitled um, to your own opinion, yes. And I know many people have the same opinion that you have. It's very honorable to do that. And to get angry. Speakers who are visual prepared to answer questions, side things do happen. When you have questions to answer, you are not, when you have questions that you don't prepare answers for, you may find yourself in a spot. Amen. I'm about to conclude now. When somebody is asking a question, it is easy, it is natural for you to either nod your head in agreement or to shake your head in disagreement. Try and comport yourself. Let the question be asked fully before you begin to answer. And when you are going to answer, please direct your answer directly at the questionnaire. And do it professionally. Do it sympathetically. It's a time that you are answering your question that you can either nod against or nod in acceptance. Don't make any other signs when the question is being asked. And if a question is asked, I don't understand, there is nothing wrong in you asking for clarification. Can you please ask the question in another way that I can understand? Just simple, no problem. Now, if a question starts to take your talk into a new direction, let them know straight away that, oh, like, for example, like I'm discussing on the bottle of water. And after I made your presentation, somebody now asks a question. Is this container also good for alcoholic wine? For example, don't guess that, well, it may be good or it may not be good. Let them know. My presentation is focused on this water and the container. It may be possible in some other instances that the same container may be able to contain wine, but I have not found that one out. Simple. You know that there are usually cantankerous people in every audience when you're making a representation. They want to show that they know. Allow them to show what they know. And if what they are trying to say does not really go with what you're talking about, don't fight them. And give them a way of escape. Oh, I know what they're talking about. It may work, but I have no situations where it has gotten people into trouble. And then when you have difficult questions, do not embarrass anyone if the question is related to a subject that has been covered. Look for a point of agreement and answer again. Now, there are usually time limits in every oral presentation. So if somebody asks a question that will require more time, you can just say, oh, thank you for that question. A lot of people ask that question. That's why I've covered it in my earlier, at the beginning of this step. Please refer to the notes we said about the beginning. But precisely, this is the answer. Let me talk about meeting management in particular, because if you want to make an representation, have an idea as to how meetings are managed and organized. What are the areas? There are different types of meetings. Some meeting will be just to inform people. And the only discussion that can come from informing people will be questions related to information you are giving. For example, if you call your board and let them know that this company is considering extending the hours of work on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. as against 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The board has looked at this, and that's the timing that we are going to use. That's information. That does not call for discussion. People have to make an adjustment as to this new timing that's approved by the board. But the other means that we call for discussion. Example is, the board is trying to change our Saturday working hours from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. What do you guys say to that? How do you think it's going to help our productivity? Or do you think it's going to overstress the staff? That's not for discussion. I will discuss, you can use brainstorming style now to gather their discussions and then come to an agreement, come to a decision. Now, performance. A meeting may be called to discuss performance, to discuss how far have we gone in our vision. So there are usually steps that are taken in meeting management. Step number one, planning the meeting. Number two, conducting the meeting. And number three, after the meeting is talking about follow-up, what should happen. So how do we make sure that we manage our meeting effectively after the meeting? Action points. We call it action points. I'll put on every item of discussion. Who will take action and by what time? That's that. Now, when it comes to constitution for electronic meeting, we need to train everybody who can participate in the effective use of technology. For example, look at the Zoom thing we are talking about now. A number of people, including me, have come to the Zoom meeting to ask for how do we share our material. And there have always been good-natured people who are expert at sharing material. They say, go to so, go to so, and go to so. Sometimes it is good for you to have trained everybody before you're going to have electronic meetings. And then make sure that they all have the materials before the meeting. How do I mean by materials? For me, in particular, when people give signing in the form of how do you call it? In the form of website or something, I usually find difficulty using it. It's easier for me when you tell me the the login ID and also the passcode. The website thing given is usually very useful when somebody is using a phone. You just click on it and then the meeting opens. But because maybe I'm old-fashioned in a way when it comes to this kind of technology, I prefer to have the meeting ID and the passcode. When you are planning your meeting, make sure that all those things are made available to everybody. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, what have I discussed with us today? I've tried to encourage us on how to do oral presentation and how to do it effectively, how to start, how to sustain, and how to prepare people for action. Thank you so much, and that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we clap for Pastor? Thank you so much. Thank you. We're so So grateful for the topic you have brought, which is very important for oral presentation and organizing meetings. I have learned a lot personally. So because of time, I'm going to hand over to Sheyi. But before that, I know our time is fast spent. Normally, we aim to finish within an hour, but because of the earlier delay. So I would like to seek your consent to have 5 to 10 minutes of question and answer session, which Sheyi is going to lead. Please bear with us. If peradventure you are not able to continue at this point, that'll be fine. But we really appreciate if you can stay back to be part of this Q&A. Thank you very much. Sheyi.
Wanted to just start with one question. The question is, what are some things to think about in giving an oral presentation to diverse populations? So you have to meet with a diverse group and present orally on certain topics. What are some things to consider?
To present to who?
Diverse audiences, people from different cultures, maybe different age groups, different walks of life.
Thank you.
There's some things to consider.
First of all, what you have to consider, you already mentioned, the diversity of your audience. You need to know their background, the diversity in age, diversity in education, diversity in culture. When you have knowledge of all those things, you need to include reaching each category in a way in your presentation. That is to say, if you can make if you want to give an example, we always give in Nigerian churches, particularly we are in the Nigerian church, we are used to making examples about the diversity of the people that come from Nigeria. But when you know that you have an audience that have diverse people, diverse culture, you must make examples, give examples of the culture, the knowledge that people have, or what represents that demographic. That is what you should consider primarily. So that challenges you to do more research. That challenges you to be more prepared. Thank you.
I'm going to open it up to any questions that you may have about the presentation. We talked about, body language. We talked about, your presentations, what they should look like. Some things to consider as you present your audience. The way to introduce your presentation to audiences. Any questions, thoughts, comments about any of what was presented this evening?
Yes, Pastor Ife, right?
You heard wrongly. No, I don't have question. Thank you.
We can't hear.
Pastor, I don't have questions. I'm at work. So that's why.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Is Brawali, are you trying to ask a question?
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I kind of have this thing whereby anytime I'm speaking to an audience that's, for example, if it's a topic that I'm very familiar with somehow, it's like be it an interview or be it I'm discussing. If it's something that I'm more experienced with somehow, it's like I tend to show the overpassion in me somehow. Maybe I don't know whether I'll try to impress or so that it's like the overpassion somehow. And I feel maybe at times it may look as okay, maybe I'm too faster or being boastful, something like that. Somehow it's like that's just me. Somehow it's like I tend to show everything out somehow. How do I correct that? Be it for an interview or be it giving a speech. How do I correct that, sir?
Thank you. I think what Wale is talking about here, how to do more with how to handle interviews effectively. That's very important, and I think this department has done something like that before for us to look into doing something like that in the future. There are skills at handling interviews that really will form a different topic entirely. But the thing about interviews that do not be too eager to impress. Because in so doing, you will run into roadblocks that we more or less engineer more questions to interview people. Limit yourself to the questions that you are asked. In order to over-impress, do not try to raise other questions yourself from your answers. Then be confident. If they ask you something you do not know, be factual with them. Tell them that, no, I think I need to do more study on that aspect. I've not done that before, that kind of thing. That's kind of answer I'm giving. But the thing that's very important, that is a problem to many of us migrants, is our accent. A lot of people cannot handle our accents. So what you have to do in that case, speak slowly and deliberately and pronounce each word distinctly. You cannot do that if you are really anxious. You cannot. But do not let your accent also discourage you. Remember, you are in a diverse community. California is the most diverse state in North America. There are over 70-something nationals that are called California home. So your own is not the only one that you understand. Even Americans themselves, they have different accents from the south to the north, from the west to the east, etc. So confidence is it, practice is it, and then being master of your subject is it. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll take one more question from anyone. Or anything to add, comments?
Well, sir, I mean, my take from what the presentation is that practice is super important, because it's not the presentation is all about preparing the PowerPoint and then going to read it. You have to make sure you go over it like preparing for a trial. You must create an audience for yourself and make sure you go through it a few times before the actual presentation, and you get used to it. Because if you prepare it and leave it and assume that you can wing it, you might get a surprise. So if you don't review your material or you don't review your presentation before you actually present it, it might not go as smoothly as you assume. That will be my only comment for now.
That's a wonderful comment. I want people to know that when you use PowerPoint, like I mentioned, there's supposed to be points. So it's good when you have things that surpasses materials you're going to present that will be in between those points. That is the only way you can sustain the interest of your audience further. Thank you, Brother Jeff.
All right, and I will pass this over as a wrap of the evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Eyi, and thank you, everyone. Once again, we sincerely apologize for the delay, and we do appreciate all those of you that stayed back to this time. Thank you very much. I believe you have learned something tonight about oral presentation and organizing meetings. And I tell you that this is something very important. No matter how many times in your career or in your profession or your ministry work you have made presentation, every new presentation presents its own, specific challenges, and you don't know it all. So, skills like we have learned tonight can always be handy to help us through it, and also organizing meeting. Thank you very much, Pastor, for the presentation. We sincerely appreciate what you have done tonight. Let's know that this presentation is going to be on JELA YouTube channel in a few days. So you can go back and watch it again and reflect again on what you have learned tonight. And from time to time, you can revisit it to pick up new skills from time to time. So we would like to invite you to our third class. The third class will be coming up next month, Wednesday, 15th May, same time, 7 p.m. And this topic is going to be on team building. Team building. It promises to be an exciting and interesting topic. So you need to learn how to build a team and also to be part of a winning team when it comes to team building. So please join us for this class next month, same time. And as we look forward to meeting you again, I pray that God will bless and be with you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. God bless you all. Thank you very much, all the team members. Sheyi, thank you very much for your time. And Kemi also for all the preparation. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. We look forward to seeing you again.